I'm Shaun Yu. I love music. And I am here to... you guys ready for some more music? Yeah? Good, because I'm about to play some music by some dead white guys. That's just my silly way of letting you know that I'm going to share with you a particular love of mine, and that is my love of classical music. Classical music is one of those funny things. It's like red wine or French films from the 1960s. People feel like there's something they have to know in order to enjoy it. You know, and the funny thing is, nobody ever says that about any other type of music.
Because you know I'm all about that bass, no trouble. I'm all about that bass.
Nobody has ever said, you know, I think I'd really like the music of Meghan Trainor if I just knew a little something about that bass, about that bass, about that bass, no treble. No one's ever said that. And yet people think that about classical music. Now, I think a part of it is that has been self-inflicted by the classical music industry. And it's because for many years, this music was described or related to specifically in musical terms. For example, a well-known popular piece of music might be described in this way. The first movement is in the traditional sonata form in which the main idea undergoes elaborate development through many keys with a dramatic return to the opening section, the recapitulation, about 3/4 of the way through. At best, for the uninitiated, they feel uninformed. At worst, they feel stupid. Now, on behalf of the classical music industry, let me offer up this apology. We never meant to put up that brick wall between you and this music. But this music, it helps, I think, I'm going to share with you the musical terms that you need to know in order to enjoy classical music. Here it is. None. There it is. Look. You don't need to know a single musical term in order to appreciate a 60-plus member orchestra coming together to make one incredible sound. You don't need to know your adagio from Allegro in order to appreciate a concert pianist doing some amazing things with their 10 fingers that you and I could never achieve in a lifetime. But I'm going to let you in on something. You know more classical music than you realize. I want to try something here. I'm going to play some music for you, and as soon as you recognize the melody, I want you to start singing along. Come on, this is TEDx. You guys can sing, all right? Here we go. Let's try this. Okay, some of you are better than others. It's okay. All right, that one's easy. Beethoven Symphony No. 5, arguably the 4 most famous notes in all of music. That one's easy. This one might be a little bit more difficult, but let's try it again. As soon as you recognize it, start singing. Beautiful! Wow. Okay, you can keep going. Mozart's Eine kleine Nachtmusik, a little night music, the serenade written by Mozart. You managed to identify that piece in 3 notes. 3. Okay. I'm willing to bet if I were to play for you the 100 most popular pieces of classical music, most of you in this room would be able to identify 60 to 70% of them. Some of you could recognize close to all 100, if not all 100. Now see, I couldn't name, based on 3 notes, the 100 most popular country songs. I couldn't name 100 hip-hop. Okay, I could do hip-hop. But the point is, you know more classical music than you give yourself credit for. But let's go along with that thought, that this music would mean more to you if you knew a little something about it, but let's relate to it in non-musical terms. Now, I got into classical music, fortunately enough, because of my profession, radio. I started out in commercial radio, working in formats from top 40 to classic rock, smooth jazz, playing 40-minute sets of continuous non-stop hits. You're listening to 106 The Mix. I did that for the early part of my career. But something happened to me in the late 1990s. I lost my job. That happens in commercial radio. Ratings get to a certain level. The program director loses their job. I do believe, though, that all things happen for a reason, and it was at that time that I was offered a job hosting mornings at the classical station in Portland, Oregon. So I started doing mornings But I've got to be honest with you. Every day when I got off the air, I was looking for my next job in commercial radio. Every day. But then something happened to me. I had my first driveway moment. You've heard the phrase driveway moment. Driveway moments are those moments when you're in the car and you hear a piece of music or a story that captivates you, and then you get to wherever it is that you're going and you still sit there in your car. Might still be running, but you have to hear the end of that music or that story. My first driveway moment happened with a piece by a Russian composer, Sergei Rachmaninoff, who took a piece by an Italian composer named Niccolo Paganini. It's a caprice for solo violin, and this is, again, one of those melodies that you probably recognize. Rachmaninoff took those few bars of music, and he wrote a set of 24 variations on them. He would speed up the notes, he would slow them down, he would invert the notes. For the 18th variation, Rachmaninoff turned the music upside down. Notice on the left, the music goes up and down. On the left, the music goes down and up. Okay, so what happens when you turn that music upside down? Satanic messages, no. When you turn that music upside down, you get this. When I heard that, blew my socks off. So I got home. First thing I do, I run out of my car, no socks, they're blown off. I get my copy of the Rhapsody on a Theme of Paganini, and I listen to every one of those 24 variations. And when I got to that 18th variation, I let out an audible sigh, and I never listened to that work the same way again. And then I looked for my next job in commercial radio. And that pattern might very well have continued. But 2 days later, miraculously enough, I had my second driveway moment. This one came with a piece by a Spanish composer, Joaquin Rodrigo, and a piece called the Concierto de Aranjuez. It's arguably the most famous guitar concerto ever written, and by some counts, the most frequently performed concerto today. It is such a fantastic work. Miles Davis actually used this music as the basis for his unbelievable album, Sketches of Spain. And it's a work that I had always loved, I knew. But it was then explained to me what the second movement of this concerto was about. I had never heard the story, and it was a story that Rodrigo never allowed to be told in his lifetime, but he made allowances for the story to be told after his death. You see, the second movement of this famous guitar concerto was Rodrigo's way of expressing through music the grief over the loss of his and his wife's baby at childbirth. The second movement of this concerto starts out in a rather unusual way. It's the strum of a guitar representing the child's heartbeat. I can't imagine what it would be to lose a child, but as this movement goes on, you can hear through the voice of the guitar the pain, the frustration, the pure anguish over the loss of a child, and then at the very end, even as the orchestra comes together to produce this gorgeous chord representing the child's spirit being lifted to heaven, listen for the guitar still holding on, and then with the softest of notes that you will hear in all of music, finally letting go. You've heard of the Kubler-Ross model of the 5 stages of grief: depression, anger, bargaining, denial, acceptance. That was a model that came out in 1969. This piece by Rodrigo was written in 1939. And yet, all 5 of those stages of grief can be heard in that one movement. And see, you don't need to know a single musical term to understand what Rodrigo was portraying. Something else happened to me that day. I stopped looking for my next job. Today, tomorrow, every day, seek out your driveway moment. And know this, driveway moments are not always literal. In fact, more often, they're figurative. Driveway moments are those moments in our lives when something captures our attention, and then we decide to forget about where it is that we're going, who it is that we have to see, and just appreciate what it is right under our own nose. And of course, I hope you'll seek out your driveway moments with classical music, the music that I love so much. Seek it out. Because I think you'll find that those times when we seem to be at a complete loss for words, it's this music that can pick up right where words leave off. Thank you so much.